From Rule 62 Studios in Bossier City, Louisiana, this is The Grouch and the Brainstorm. Welcome back. I'm Mike. I'm here with Matt.
What's up?
Jill.
Hey, guys.
And Chris.
Hey.
And so, before we get started, this is a makeup episode. To some extent, this is a makeup episode because we normally don't drop a regular episode on Wednesday, and we got back into our regular routine. And Monday, at some point, someone sent me a text message and said, "Did you know on the episode you released Sunday, you can't hear Jill?" And I said, I figured at first, the thought was it's got to be their radio, or, maybe there's not enough Jill, like not enough cowbell or something. Cowbell.
Cowbell.
Maybe it's one of the Jill fans out there. But so I had Jill listen. I was at work. I couldn't go grab a computer or anything. And so I had Jill listen. And sure enough, I had forgot to put on the air button on Jill that day. So we went an entire episode without, you can hear Jill in the background.
Muffled Jill.
And so my first reaction was to yank the episode off of the air and go replace it with this episode that we're currently recording. And then, as the day went on, I thought, you know what? No, that is not the point of the Grouch and the Brainstorm. Not to sound the best or to be the best or have this wonderful. It's to get the message across. And as long as the message got across, we're going to leave season 2, episode 13 in the hole. It's not going anywhere. So it's going to stay there with Muffled Jill.
We're going to call it the Moment of Silence of Jill episode.
And right after that episode, we recorded Travis M. telling his story. Mm-hmm. And you can hear Jill the whole time. So I must have cut the device, whatever this thing is called, off and turned it back on, because you can hear Jill just as normal as you can in any other one. And that episode will be released Sunday morning. And this one's going to actually be released today. And so then we can record the following Sunday morning and be completely caught up with our episodes. So, and with the makeup episode. And if we continue to do that, we'll actually pace ourselves more episodes this year than next year. But we don't want to get off into a race, or we'll end up in competition with ourselves. And then the point, again, will not get across. The purpose of this thing is so that someone can sit, look at the title, go, hey, I want to hear about that and these guys and gals' experience with that, and then listen to it and maybe get some help, or maybe a light bulb go off, or if anything, stay sober for the hour they're listening just so they can pay attention, right? We definitely don't want anyone thinking that the reason we do this is to hear ourselves talk, because it definitely isn't. That's not the point of any of this. So with that being said, Chris literally just got back from vacation and drove in from Orlando today?
Gulf Shores today.
Okay, Gulf Shores today. And so we had invited him to the show, and we ended up having to put off recording for one various reason or another. And we invited him to the show on it was his second birthday. Was that right?
Yes, sir.
On the day he had his second birthday, and we did not get to record his second birthday. And so we want to turn this isn't going to be a speaker thing, because Chris has told his story on the show before. This is going to be an episode, but we do want to hear Chris, and you may not even notice this, right? What has changed with the second year? What has changed with a full second year? Now, I can tell you one thing I noticed. The first year, if I'm not mistaken, at your birthday at the Koala Club, they talked about family and how family supported you and how you had a great family, and you had a lot of family members there, right?
Oh yeah, wife.
That was the first year,
parents,
though, right?
Mom, no, your sister. Oh yeah, that was the first.
Didn't you have your in-laws there the first year?
No, they weren't able to make it. They're 4.5, 5 hours down south, but of course they were the first ones to call the morning of and happy birthday.
Yeah, I got you. So they wasn't there. They wasn't there this time either, though, right?
No, it's
so
just my mom.
They
My
must
mom
have
was
just
there.
came at some other time, because I haven't met them.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's been there once, but other than that was it.
Well, they one thing I can say about that I saw the difference is whenever there's the family at 1 year, the family actually changes at year 2 as well.
Oh, yeah, it was significant. One of the biggest difference between year one and year two was year one just seemed like it was a big climb, like a big journey. Like, yeah, it's a little difficult to explain, but, I did not realize up until going into the second year how much importance the family was, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They've been there every step of the way, obviously, but, now it's, you're looking at that, those appreciation moments, that you can look back on and be like, wow, my family is still here, So one thing that, the wife did, and she didn't, publicly put anything on social media other than, we are celebrating 2 years. And, my sponsor, made a comment on there about that and just said, we. And so that was huge, because not that I didn't think it didn't have anything to do with we, the first year, but you think a lot more into it nowadays. So a lot more to be grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, throughout recovery, you learn all kinds of different things. What do you think is the most valuable thing that you've learned in your second year?
You hear it all the time. Don't take things so serious. And, before retiring from the service, and then even now, like I was always bringing work home. Everything. I wore all my emotions on my sleeve. When I leave work now, nothing comes home with me. When I get home, it's family, family, family. And that's just first and foremost. And so I have to consciously remind myself, that they've been there every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And so it just makes you just appreciate it. And a lot of those, it's not those big lightning bolts from the sky coming out, but a lot of those are like, wow, look at this. I mean, how cool is this? You know? So it's just, having that support team, that support system, and to say, this is my family, it's just, it's pretty awesome,
That's the family thing is amazing, and I wonder, as the time goes on, will they grow, or do you think at some point they're just going to stay right where they're at as you just continue to grow throughout your recovery?
Well, so my oldest, she was there. That's a 13-year-old, and she made a huge deal. And I went to work the next day talking about it and opened up to everybody, and even got emotional about it because this was 2 or 3 paragraphs that she put on there about her dad and how proud she was, and and it just I could see the growth in them. Maybe not so much the youngest, but I can see the growth in just about everybody. Because whenever they're facing adversity, then they can look at it and be like, well, Chris or Dad's been through a lot worse. Mm-hmm. We have been through a lot worse. And so, they're able to put things into perspective a little bit more.
A little bit of reassurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he can make it through this, we can make it through this.
And it's funny, man. Chris, you're a great example of the things that are the few things that we're asked to do in this program. And you and I work together at a place now in treatment, and we tell these guys the same stuff that we did. The problem is they don't do any of that stuff, right. Or they do it for a week and then they go, well, I'm not happy, joyous, and free. I don't understand. Well, you're a living example of that. And I can see from year one, the end of year one to year two, the maturity of what you just said. And you put it's a little more, maturity as far as emotional sobriety, learning to, like you said, learning not to take things home, learning to separate. And that takes time because we're addicts. We go 100 miles an hour, everything we do. And it's like, but it doesn't have to be our life, Right. And I can see you're calmer, if that's the word, about it. And like I've noticed a little more of a wisdom of, okay, it doesn't, year one, man, like you don't remember me and Mike pranking you with the phone calling that day, and you're running up and down the hall. Yeah. Mike probably forgot that, but anyway,
I sent him a text message one time from my work phone, pretending to be. Never mind.
We have fun, y'all. A lot of it we can't talk about over here, but we do. But Chris is so gung ho, But I watched him even now working where we work, and you deal with crazy folks and they're not in their right mind at that time. And, you know, he's just very focused. He doesn't let it, he kind of brushes it off and handles it really well. And, you know, I'm super proud of him, and I know his sponsor is too. So, but,
Well, do you have any sponsees?
I do. Currently I've got one. I've had up to 4. One just celebrated 11 months.
Oh, yeah, I think I met
So
him.
he's doing awesome.
That's
the
cool.
Other few just stepped off, hadn't heard from them. And
currently all mine are incarcerated, you know, but that's neither here
I have a
nor
hard
there.
time getting a hold of them.
yeah,
Not really. You can do it. It
Collect.
just, yeah. Costs money.
you got to collect call.
Yeah, they can actually call you now.
Can't do the fifth
on the
step till you
video.
get out.
Yeah. Yeah. So
What I've noticed with your recovery is like you've just done it so what it looks like appears is so effortlessly. Shit.
Go ahead and put
And-
Buffalo Jill back on.
And this is why we muted Jill last time.
Well, and I felt like I was like on the brink of losing my mind for quite a while, and I cried. I was out loud, not okay. And I was not a fake it till you make it like at all. But I don't know. You've always had such even you're like within your first year, like so much serenity and so much peace and that's really cool.
Well, I tell you, working at a treatment center with Matt really, really opens your eyes to how bad it could be.
Yeah.
How much worse it could have gotten, had I stayed on the same path that I was on. But, when you're able to share that strength, experience, hope with somebody else, I mean, it's a much deeper connection. So, whether they choose to go out there and make the next right choice or next right decision, is one thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, you mentioned serenity. I'm still the same guy as I was, when I first got in the program and learned the serenity prayer. I still say it 13 to 17 times a day.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that are just out of my control. So,
Yeah.
it's weird too as you go along. You know, early on, and I had people, and you want to help people and lend a hand where you can, whether it's just get them to a meeting or they ask you to sponsor or whatever it might be. And I would get so involved in that, and then they would go back out.
Yeah.
And almost immediately. And I'm just like, and it was just like devastating, And now I look at it and I go, wait a minute. And it's taking my sponsor helping me figure that out. But I don't take it personal. I don't bring it home with me. They make a choice just like I do. And all we can do is do our part. And so now I look at it and I go, did I do what I was supposed to do? I did. Okay. Nothing I can do about
Right.
it. I
It
love
is
them,
what it is.
But I'm not going, I can't wave a magic wand. I'm not God. I can't do any of that
That's
stuff.
like my sponsor. He told me, and this is pretty early on. It's like you got to learn how to separate the emotion. When you're talking with sponsees, and you're going to have sponsees that are going to go back out there, and they're going to make their own decisions. You can't control them all, but you sitting here getting upset about it is not gonna fix it. The only person that's bothering is you. So I mean that's really helped me. Because I'm a guy that's always wore my emotions on my sleeve, and I care about what happens to the next person, but at the end of the day, I've got to look at my sobriety. So,
Yeah. And thing is like you jumped right in, like full in. And, watching you do service work and, sponsor and do all these things. It is a great thing for people to see and to see like the promises come true. I mean, the whole beauty of the program and, seeing you do that is great.
Now, Chris, have you seen all the promises come true?
oh, and then some. I mean, they keep coming. But I think that's part of that expectation management. The the lower I keep them, the more things happen as long as I'm doing the next right thing.
Mm-hmm. I noticed in my recovery, been to the steps multiple times, that it's different each time. The spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
How did those differ?
Oh, I did not have a relationship with a higher power prior to coming to the rooms of AA, but I know, and I'll never knock treatment. I mean, I went to treatment twice, 2 30-day programs, but, you know, when I decided to go out there and do it all over again after the first time I left treatment, it wasn't because I forgot everything that they taught me, or, you know, it's just I thought that I could still do this. You know, I've got power now. What Mike say? I got 30 days sobriety. I can go over there and show them how it's done.
Yeah, I can go play pool.
Yeah.
I can go play pool with my buddies at the liquor store. Fuck plays pool at the liquor store.
You know, I couldn't do it. You know?
What liquor store has a pool table?
I know. I'm just saying some of the. I'm seriously. Y'all ever serious? Y'all be in a meeting and you got some cat got 30 days. You know. I'm sure. Man, I never felt better in my life.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Well, and truth is, you have one of those things start coming back, endorphins.
Yeah.
You know, you killed them all and they ain't existing, and so you go through this major depression, and your brain starts making that stuff again. And
I had a guy the other day, good guy. I think it was right before you started working with us, Chris. Younger guy. He's fired up, man. I'm going to do it. I'm in treatment. I'm out of here. I'm a, you know, and I'm
read the
trying
whole
to
Bible in
encourage
30
him.
minutes.
Yeah, and I was like, look, I said, if you graduate, he was going to go to sober living, I think, and go do some stuff. I said, if you bring me a 1-year sobriety coin, I'll take you fishing anywhere you want to go on me. We'll go to Toledo Bend. That's where he wanted to go, Toledo Bend.
Called you the next day.
I said, we'll go. 45 days go by, he's back in treatment.
Oh.
As soon as he walks in the door, he goes, I didn't make it 5 minutes. That's what he told me. I was like, well, we're still trying. That's okay.
I thought you were going to tell me he called you the next week and like, hey, I got that chip.
yeah.
Ready for Toledo.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, we go in there and we get on that pink cloud thing of I got the world by the horns and all that stuff that we're talking to them about in meetings and sponsors and steps and doing that day-to-day thing. It kind of just floats off in the clouds and it's like, oh, I feel great. No issues. And
It's funny you mention that pink cloud because that is a big difference between first and second year as well. Because I rode that pink cloud for a little over a year. You know, nothing bad happened. You know, financially, everything was going pretty good, job wise, family wise, and then just out of nowhere, everything just started piling up financially, and you know, just making restitution where I needed to, and you know, that's where that spiritual awakening came in. You know, so I've done a lot of praying in this last year, and much more than I did before. But gratitude was a part of that as well. So, you know, just realizing how much worse it could be, and then, you know, sleep has been considerably different. You know, and I do preach it quite a bit when I do share. You know, if I can go to bed at night and my mind's not wandering in 9 different directions, and I'm able to go to sleep, then I think I did pretty good today. You know,
Right.
But you know, I do a lot of on the spot inventory, and but as long as my mind's not wandering, then I didn't have a drink today, then I know I'm doing the right thing. So
Awesome.
Well, we had a member named Batman, or his real name was Wayne, so that's why they called him Batman. I think it was Wayne. Yeah, anyway, Wayne C, and he's passed away now, so his name's Wayne Colby Batman. But he always talked about one of the benefits of him getting sober was for the first time in his adult life, he could sleep through the nights. Yeah. You know, and I don't know about y'all, I can't. I still hadn't, you know, still hadn't figured that part out yet. But you know, most people I talk to say that, you know, they go to bed, and I guess whatever kept them up before was their conscience.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that I guess once that's no longer your guide,
Yep.
or you're no longer your downfall, maybe you can pop out.
Snoozing. And not only that, well, I mean, you know, physiologically, your body is still can for years be going through post-acute withdrawals, and insomnia is one of the, you know, effects that happen as a part of that.
Post-acute withdrawal.
Yes.
Okay.
So, did you have any, I don't want to call it reservations, but did you, going through the steps, oh, wait. Never mind. Can we just ask that? You're like, no.
Yeah, nope.
Reservation.
Reservation?
Oh, like not want to do them.
Well, and I just realized, wait, he has 2 years. Doesn't mean he went through the steps twice. And so, like, a pardon moi.
Have you been through them twice?
No, I just want. Well, no, I have been through them twice. I did them with my sponsor, then I worked them with my sponsee. So,
Yeah, that's what I meant. If you, but
yeah.
you.
Okay.
but me,
I don't know what I was
actually
thinking.
threw 'em down.
And I worked with one of my guys. I worked the spot. He actually worked the 12 steps in about 6 months and came back and said, I want to work them again. I want one more time just to see. And I'm like, hey, come on. We went back through the steps again. And so before he had 1 year, he had been through the steps 2 times. Wow. Yeah.
Well, tell me something. How cool was it taking someone through the steps?
Oh man, it's one of those things I definitely had to consult my sponsor. Just like he had to do with he had mentioned at my 2-year birthday, that he had never had a sponsee that was married. And so, he had to do a lot of consulting with his sponsor, and I had to do the same thing. But it was really neat to be able to see it from this side of the table,
Isn't it though?
So, and just to see the results as a part of the action, it's incredible. He's doing great. It's all family. They went to Toledo Bend this weekend, and just had an awesome time. I had some pictures of him and his son fishing, and that's what it's all about. Is like learning how to live without that, drug of choice or whatever it may be. So it's super cool to be able to see that from this side, but to also be empathetic, and to understand and to be able to I can relate to that, or, hey, I don't really have an answer for you right now, but give me some time,
Hold on just a second.
And it's humbling too to go, and some guy like is looking at you going, what do I do? And you go, I don't know. Let me ask somebody else. And
But I could have done that a couple years ago. 2 years ago, I would just given you an answer.
Yeah. Anything
just because
better
it
than
sounded,
not saying I don't know,
sound confident.
That's right. That's right.
Pretty good. But
I do with my guys. I go, hey man, look, you're going to meet my sponsor, and he's the only one that we'll ever talk about any of this with.
Yeah.
I'll talk with him if it's something we can't handle, and you're going to be involved in it too, and we'll go from there. And I tell them up front, if you're uncomfortable with that, that's what I have to do, and
that's what I have to offer.
Yeah. So I'd rather just tell them I don't know and figure it out together. But we all have sponsors, but we also got a lot of people in there. Joe B he's always done it every year. When I have a birthday, he'll say, I remember my 1 year. I really remember that. I got my 1 year chip, and he got me thinking about you because he came up to me and he said, you did great. You hung on for the ride. I don't know what happened that first year, and it doesn't even matter. He goes, you made it. Yeah. And he said, now you start to grow. He said, you just were hanging on that first year. Whatever it takes to get there, you got there. And I was like, oh, so there's like more to this, like, oh, wait, we have to do stuff? Like, I thought I was off now,
Want it done.
But he was exactly right. And I can look back. I do that now. I look back every year. I don't look back 5 years or 2 years, just that previous year and how it started and how it ended. And I go, man, like, this is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and it just gets better.
I know.
Even through, some spotty times, I'm able to still see the good in it. So, and that's what it's all about to me,
Yeah.
Being able to still come out at, on top.
Yeah.
So.
Have you had anything pop up in life where you just kind of automatically went to the 12 steps for some guidance, or maybe is it something that once you called your sponsor, he kind of walked you through stuff to do still?
I did, a couple times. It was really just my first year. But this second year has just been, it's just been night and day, between 1 and 2 years. I still built up a lot of anxiety. I still built up a lot of, that first year, I still built up a lot of, like, well, maybe I should have done that. Or, like, why is the wife still mad at me? Or what am I doing wrong? But, we mentioned that first year, like Joe was talking about, with just holding on that first year. And that's what I was doing that first year. And I didn't realize that at the time until, just certain moments when things would get overwhelming. I'm like, oh crap, I got to move. I got to get to a meeting. If I don't get to a meeting, I'm going to have a drink, But it never got to the point to where I said, oh, man, it's getting rocky out there. But I think, that was just the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous that saved me. And then hanging out with, my AA family and then my internal family. So, just staying away from those certain people, places, and things, and staying away from certain things that I know would more than likely impact my judgment. I did what was finally suggested of me to do, and it's been awesome. So.
I think like my first year, between 0 and 1, I just kept waiting on the other shoe to drop. I just kept thinking there's got to be a downside to this somewhere, because things just went too good. I don't know about pink cloud or, I guess if I could say there's a pink cloud, I'm still on it, all these years later. But, it's almost like I didn't have any expectations, but on the same slope, I kind of expected things at some point just to fall apart.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I realized in year 2, maybe right after year 2 hit, that I was the cause of all of those shoes dropping. And if I don't have this reaction or this action, there's no equal and opposite reaction.
Right.
So none of that bad stuff happens if I don't do the bad stuff to begin with. You generally here in America, you don't get locked up in jail for doing nothing wrong. You're doing something. Now, granted, I'm sure there's some innocent folks out there that have been, but for the most part, you don't get just locked up for not doing nothing. You don't get a DUI when you don't drink, or when you don't, you're not drunk driving. So,
or what's Joe say? Get a DWI or DUI for drinking too much coffee.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard Joe say one time he ain't ever been in trouble for something he didn't say.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I think I've been in trouble for something I didn't say.
Check that box.
It was the look on your
To
face.
each their own, Joe's never been, I have, so.
Something I notice with people as they come in, and Chris, you're that way, and a lot of us are, and then working with you now too, and I already know your sense of humor, but I was on a thing the other weekend, and last weekend was with somebody in recovery. We got to laughing about something so stupid, y'all. And I'm telling you, I couldn't stop. Like, I could not. It's one of them laughs where you're just like, I fell off the side of the bed. I was laughing so hard I was laying on the floor, and I couldn't breathe. Like, I thought I had broke a rib.
Y'all were who all was in the bed?
I don't want to get into all that. Yeah. Well, there's some jokes there on the laughter part.
I had somebody in mind you were with until you mentioned y'all were all in bed.
But like we're at work and we both have that sense of humor, that dark sense of humor, and I love being around my people because of the laughter. And you hear you come in the Koala Club, people are laughing, they're having a good time for the most part, and that's just great to see people, no drinking, no drugging, just genuine having a good time. And we were with another couple up there, and they're very funny anyway, so we were all just rolling laughing. But man, that's so much fun today, and I don't think I thought about a drink or a drug the entire weekend. Never even came into my mind,
And we did while we were in Orlando. No, not Orlando. We were in Gulf Shores on the way back, and one of my wife's coworkers was there with her husband, and they're not big drinkers. They don't have a problem, I guess I should say, but they just socially drink. And so they had been there for about 4 days before we got to Gulf Shores. And so, my wife started talking to them, and, they didn't mention, hey, we're going to go out and have some drinks. You want to come? They know my story. She shared that with them. And, one of the questions that she did ask me was, do you ever look back and think that, you have any regrets or, whatever. And I told her, I was like, absolutely not. I don't, there's no regret. I don't have any obsession, any compulsion. But I think that's just, the fact of waking up every day and reminding myself I am an alcoholic and these are the things that I need to do in order to maintain my sobriety. But, it was just awesome because while we're sitting there sharing a story, she said their first day there, her husband just got sloshed. And so she made the command decision. They're just going to remain sober the rest of their vacation. And but you could tell it was kind of like that awkward silence, like, oh crap, we probably shouldn't be talking about unlimited mimosas while we're talking to an alcoholic. But it was cool, because I was able just to brush it off. It didn't bother me, and but I couldn't have done that a couple of years ago. But my kids even remind me of it. They'll see somebody that's drinking, like, oh boy, and not that they have any reservations or concerns that I'm going to go back out and do it again, but with my older ones, it's almost like, hey, Dad, we're proud, because that doesn't bother you anymore. So it's cool when they can see that.
Did y'all ever in the episode? Did y'all ever see the episode of Seinfeld where I guess Elaine? I don't, what's her name? The lady that plays Elaine.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julie, her. I guess it was her boyfriend. I may be wrong, but she was dating a guy that was an alcoholic. And he was in the audience of one. Y'all ever seen the guy? Now the guy, the guy who played this character was also the guy that used to play in Dr. Pepper commercials back in the 80s, and he also played American Werewolf in London. He was the guy who did that, the original. I don't know if there's been a new one.
I don't know.
And if you've never seen that movie,
I just remember the Jesus fish episode.
yeah, well, okay.
That is Jesus.
So let me go back before Matt talks about the Jesus fish. So I guess that's the fish on the back of cars. Yeah. So anyway, he was an alcoholic, and everybody was careful not to say or do or whatever it was, and ultimately someone accidentally gave him a drink while he was in the audience of I think it was a Jerry show, one of his stand-ups, and so the guy ends up going back out, but like he ends up just totally going off the rails because someone accidentally gave him alcohol. And if you ever get a chance, download it, because I actually seen that obviously before I ever got sober. And even with that, it makes you almost want to not be an alcoholic, because you think that's what the general public thinks.
Sure.
We can't talk about alcohol around this cat. We can't.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we get sober going to a room and people talk about alcohol. The whole matter of fact, the only conversations I really have about alcohol are that 1 hour that I spend in AA meeting.
Oh my gosh, mine is literally like all day.
Well, all of y'all work at a treatment center, and mine's basically a treatment center, but with
Look,
untreated.
you mentioned, that deal on the episode. Well, when we were in Gulf Shores, we went to a place called The Hangout. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with the
Oh, yeah.
hand grenade drinks, the big tall cups down in New Orleans. But they kind of had some pretty similar cups. And they were just little swirly deals, real tall, real long straws. And, all the kids had gotten chocolate milkshakes. And so when the lady brought them out, my middle girl was like, here, Dad, try this. Well, I did not know that she was the only one that did not get a milkshake. And so I tried it, and it tasted like alcohol, but it wasn't. It was blue raspberry sour lemonade. But I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I about had a freak out moment. I had to question the server, like, what's in this drink? Like there's like, Dad, calm down. It's okay. It's just lemonade. So,
Your daughter put on Instagram the other day, we're leaving Florida, headed to Gulf Shores, and I texted her, or I sent her a message. I said, tell your dad to stop and drop some Hundies at Buc-ee's.
And which we did. We hit them on the way back today.
Yeah.
Still haven't
Matter
been
of
to
fact,
Buc-ee's.
They took a,
There's one right
took
there
No.
coming in the Mobile.
Live by Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right up the street.
They're
Yeah, I go
fudge or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I go to Buc-ee's like on a regular basis.
Yeah, I've never been.
Yeah, I think I went and got gas there today.
We did.
On my way here.
Me and Ben went to Orlando together on a business trip, and we were coming back, sitting in the back of a Suburban. We hit Buc-ee's. We bought a bunch of crap, and we sat in the back watching midget boxing on my phone.
Just
and
snacking
eating
the whole
Buc-ee's chocolates and stuff.
That would be little people.
Little people.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't the name of the show.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm calling it like it is.
I
So
got you.
I didn't choose the name. Ben was fascinated. It was his first binge
I'm
watching.
sure it wasn't Ben's
Put
first.
that on the bucket list. Checked.
No, Buc-ee's is really it's an amazing place if you can handle large crowds, and
And you have like $8,000.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need it.
yeah, they have their own brand of stuff, and generally that brand is really high. and they carry clothing and bags. I mean, it's very nice. But the food there, I gotta admit, the food there, if you're one of those who eats that kind of stuff, is amazing. It's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Really?
Like brisket sandwiches and all that stuff.
Yeah,
They make
yeah.
it right in front of
Well, I
you.
understand they have immaculate bathrooms.
They do.
The immaculate bathroom.
There's a
There's a
hand
religious
sanitizer
program.
outside of every stall, every urinal. I mean,
There's a what?
There's a hand sanitizer outside of every urinal. And there's like 800 urinals
And
in the men's
the
bathroom.
door on the closed toilet actually goes like all the way to the floor. So
Oh yeah, there is no peeping.
you don't have that foot that comes under, you know.
Yeah.
And when people are kicking toilet paper around the bathroom, it doesn't fly under the door and hit you, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it was a Buc-ee's is really amazing. I gotta admit, and it's actually when I leave here, Buc-ee's will be 1 hour and 40 minutes outside of me leaving here, maybe 1 hour and 50 minutes, depending on how traffic.
What, the one in, isn't it Terrell?
It's in Terrell, but I also now I have one that's by my house in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes from where I
Okay.
live, and it's closer to my son's house. And then they just opened one up to the south of me down towards Waco. So it's between where I live in Burleson and Waco, and you can go there. And they do sell alcohol, a lot of it. So
At Buc-ee's.
and but going back to Chris's thing, I have drank alcohol on accident.
Yeah.
So that was where I was going with the guy on
Seinfeld.
yeah, and I ordered a Topo Chico water one time at a Mexican restaurant, and they brought me a Topo Chico hard seltzer,
Oh,
Oh.
and it looked exactly like the water, and I put the lime in it, and I just hit it just like I would the regular water, and then I realized it was sweet. And their water, Topo Chico, is not sweet.
No, it's
water,
just mineral carbonated
or
water.
it's sour if you have lemon in it.
Yeah.
And whenever I tasted the sweet, something hit me, and I stopped and I turned the bottle around and it said hard seltzer. And obviously at that point I stopped.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. That doesn't take away your sobriety date. That's it's one of them things you just can't help. Now you can help it if you realize it and you keep chugging.
Yeah, there's a problem
and then
there.
You can say, "Oh no, I accidentally drank."
Guys,
Fifth,
I actually drank 13 of them things.
best damn water I ever.
Small
They
whoopsie.
putting in the water in here.
Small oopsie.
But there was no phenomenon of craving. Nothing hit me other than the kind of the panic.
Right.
yeah, that happened to me. Mine was a Bananas Foster incident.
Yeah.
Sounds like a book, Jill and the Bananas Foster.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, it was like flambe. I mean, there's like flames.
Little banana false.
We're talking about the programming. You brought up Seinfeld. So George's dad on that show was my favorite character.
Costanza. Sorry, I couldn't help.
And he had that guru that was teaching him serenity, and he said, as long as you scream it, serenity now, you have to scream it that it'll come to you. And so his wife would be griping at him, and he was screaming.
Oh, speaking of scream, she has the
Serenity
worst
now.
scream.
Yeah, and it never worked. He was just. But I do that now. I'm in the program. I sometimes
scream?
I just have to scream serenity now.
I haven't heard it yet.
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to reach the serenity. I mean,
Yeah, he didn't mess with that part. He just wanted to yell it out, and it happened. So. But what a great show that was.
yeah, and they, to their point, they touched on some of the just about everything we touch on. We in life, they just somehow they managed, like the guy that was an alcoholic, and everybody went to great lengths to avoid getting alcohol around this cat. And then all of a sudden he accidentally ends up getting drunk and going back out and, do it. He did. And the shows, golly. But back to where I was going with that. A lot of people do think that, oh no, Chris is here. Put the alcohol up. And it couldn't be any different. It's just not like that with us.
Yeah.
How about, if we issued a challenge to everyone, and I you do what you want to do, but read the big book, and the big book is going to tell us that we can go anywhere alcohol is.
Right.
At some point, if we're trying to stay away from it, we're actually doing more harm than good, because alcohol plays a role in our lives every day. You know, I mean, you can't walk in a Circle K and pick up a candy bar and not see a big old iced down thing of 24s of your whatever brand. You know, in Texas, it's usually Modelo and Corona. And, you know, and over here, it's, I don't know, what, 21 Jump Street,
Cheap
Black
stuff.
Dog or something. What?
$2 Chuck.
I don't even know what beers are here now, man. I just know what we sell at work.
I just had this conversation with some guys the other day at some clients, and
If you
and they
say
were like,
one of y'all fell off the bed, we're gonna
no, it wasn't no dude. You know, that's I'm gonna clear that up. But
Okay.
clear up that part. But yeah, I know y'all are relieved. It was hanging out there.
I mean, it would have been no surprise, but
That was topic for
Thanks,
next
Chris.
meeting.
That's a whole other podcast. Forget a meeting. Yeah, I was. Somebody jokingly asked me one time to speak at a thing, and I said if I do it, I'm going to do it on my sexual inventory. And they were like, "Never mind." So
record.
it gets you out of that, you know. But we were having this conversation, and they were like, "Well, I can't go anywhere." And I said, "Man, you need to be careful early on, you know." But I was where you were at in year one, between 1 and 2, and people were kind of like, "Oh no, we have alcohol," and I just kept doing my thing, and now I go and for the past several years, the word never comes up. Everybody around me does what they normally would do, and I'm fine with it, and nobody even notices anymore. They don't even. It's never comes up, but it's just. We just keep doing the things that we're doing, and it doesn't make me uncomfortable anymore. I go to events and things, and you know, I get my Red Bull with the pineapple juice and all that stuff in it, and drop some limes and orange slices in it. And man, I walk around all night drinking that, and nobody ever says a word to me. So
Where does this happen? Where do you do this?
I've never
at?
seen this
I was at
cocktail, this mocktail.
that was at a fight. It cost me $9 for that drink.
Shit.
I bet it did. My goodness, you just put half
She
the
made
produce
it up.
department out.
Me and the bartender made it up, and I kind of like it. So I was like, "Anything? What do you got back here besides alcohol?" So she pulled it all together, and I was like, "Let's go."
Just this.
Yeah, and it was sugar free.
Have
Red
y'all
Bull,
had
so.
the coconut Dr. Pepper?
Horrible.
I love it.
The most disgusting thing I've ever drank in my life. If you like potpourri, drink that.
Oh,
So-
it tastes like to me like you've been, you know, out at the beach covered in suntan oil, and you grab a Dr. Pepper out of the cooler, and
Or they
get it.
just squirt the jar in your mouth of suntan oil. That's what it tastes like.
Must have got the strong batch.
I don't know what I got, but I looked at the can and realized it was not regular Dr. Pepper. So
No, it's coconut.
it is definitely
there are
coconut.
billboards for it everywhere.
I've never even heard of this.
We've
just
had
there's
it.
a reason.
We've had it in Dallas for probably about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I
They
had
ought
to
to
make
call
them,
it coconut splash Dr. Pepper because that's all it is.
Well, I made them bring me in extra and put it in my store.
Yeah. Good luck selling that shit.
No, we
It sells like
We
hotcakes.
sell
I mean,
it. And we don't sell hotcakes,
Yeah.
believe it or not. But we do sell a lot of Dr. Pepper's like from there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Pepper.
I love Dr. Pepper. I just don't like coconut.
Coconut.
Yeah, this takes me back to some of the things you notice when you get sober, Chris. There is a real guy named Dr. Pepper somewhere in the United States. They interviewed him like 2 weeks ago on one of the major news, and I thought it was a joke. And people, and the reporters were going with straight lace. And Dr. Pepper says that in his practice, he's never seen anyone quite as strong as, you know. And I'm thinking, how are you not laughing? Man? Yeah, like if this guy last name was Tishner or Seuss, you know, I would.
that-
I couldn't keep it.
That newscast with crispy bacon. That news anchor.
Crispy. And didn't like Winona Ryder in one of those movies she played in was with that guy that played Happy Gilmore.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, it was Mr. Deeds.
Okay.
She told him that her doctor was something about Dr. Pepper. I remember that her doctor was Dr. Pepper or something. But
Great
anyway,
movie.
yeah, coconut Dr. Pepper. You know, it makes a good mocktail.
Yeah.
So. But you know, I'm kind of like Matt though. I've never been to a place where, you know, I tell you what I like is I like sparkling water. I really do. I like sparkling water. Like that's where the Topo Chico.
Yeah.
And if I go somewhere and everybody's drinking, I'll get, you know, just keep me sparkling water and lime coming. You know, I'm good. Sparkling water and lemon. throw in a little whatever cherry juice if you want to, you know, whatever that's called, grenadine.
Grenadine.
Yeah. And I really, you know, I'm good to go. Now, I haven't, even after all these years, I haven't been brave enough to drink olive juice.
Ugh.
I mean, I was a big time martini drinker when I was. Oh yeah.
I can't do all those.
Oh boy, I could.
I know your palate. I know your palates change. What is it every 7 years? You know, so like growing up, you know, I didn't eat onions or mushrooms or certain greens. Just I think it was a texture thing.
I'm right there with you, man.
But like now,
I tear them up.
Yeah.
I like onions, mushrooms, greens.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
Jill eats hummus.
yeah.
A lot of hummus.
Yes,
in
I
her-
do.
Actually, I like hummus.
Hummus is great.
so
Kind of a chicken wing guy. If you couldn't tell my physique.
Well, there's other flavors other than
I mean, it's just so bland.
No, you didn't. You haven't had good hummus.
Is there good hummus? That's
Yeah,
good.
there's good.
Absolutely.
I've had some good hummus.
Did you get the hummus from the grocery store?
Probably the same place Matt got that coconut Dr Pepper.
Yeah. No, some of those are
section.
like I don't even eat those. They're
tried
horrible.
Some roasted red pepper. I think was probably the best.
Yeah,
one
that
I've
is it.
had.
Sabra. I mean,
Yeah.
that's horrible.
Yeah.
That tastes like cardboard.
Oh well, there you go.
No, that is not.
You got to get the fancy.
Yeah.
Have you ever mixed hummus with caviar?
No.
We tried caviar for the first time.
And what'd you
last
think?
year. It was
Yeah.
actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
You know, we went to that Fat Calf Brasserie joint. A lot of
I love Fat
fancy stuff
Calf.
over there.
Yeah, I don't remember where I had it, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I don't care for stuff like fish.
When I get in a crisis on having to make a call on like a strange food or a clothing item, anything like that that's questionable, I just go back. What would John Wayne do? Would he eat hummus?
Hell no.
Hell no. Whiskey, and then he might have eaten something. And if it was probably beef. you
Or,
know,
or
so-
a big hunk of metal.
exactly.
Bullet. So Chris,
So I kind of stick with that.
we are in headed into June really fast, man. April and May kind of flew by without us even noticing. What do you think for you this year? What do you think the holidays are going to look like?
Oh, holidays are gonna look awesome. I mean, we hadn't done a whole lot of planning. We do have another family vacation in October, heading up to Arkansas for about a week. But holidays are gonna be good this year. I mean, we recently moved. We were living on an active duty installation, and so we don't have to deal with that anymore. Now we've got a nice big, huge backyard. Matt's been over there. He's cut the grass a few times, but man, it's awesome. It's just looking so much better now because I don't feel like I'm fighting for my life every day. It's become just a way of living, you know. You know, just again keeping expectations low and just doing those few things that are suggested of me. And I tell you what, just working in a treatment center, it does not take, you know, it does not replace the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, but it certainly helps.
Does it help? I've often wondered. You know, I have had several. I mean, when I say several, up maybe 5 sponsees work, and half of them, so two or three of them, decided that was good. That we're not going to go, and I'm not going to say no. Ain't none of them went back out drinking.
Yeah.
I will say that I know of. But about half of them said, you know, hey, me working all day, 8 hours a day, I don't want to spend another hour. But, you know, it's kind of like if I spend every day, this is my feeling. This ain't no written in the big book or any of that. But if I spent every day in the back room with a sponsee, I'm not getting any recovery myself other than whatever they got going on. And I really need to be.
Can't pour out of an empty bucket.
There you go.
Well, and that's true. I mean, I've been in this business for 14 years and I've worked with a lot of irritable, restless, and discontented alcoholics in treatment centers because they have that same, you know, mentality. And it just means like you needed just that much more.
And I don't, you know, I've never, you know, I don't know, I can't say never, but I just don't think that would be, and like that would, how about this? And I'll tell y'all this is me bearing it. I haven't been to a meeting except for when I come to Shreveport to record in a long time. And if I use this recording and us talking about recovery as my meeting, I'm probably not going to get what I need to get. Right. So that's why I have to go. Like sometimes I just have to drive over here, go to a noon meeting, or drive over here, go to a 5:30, and turn around and drive back.
You know, it's just like going, you know, when I started this job, they've got me on 3 to 11s. And so obviously I miss the 5:30 meetings, but I still, run the big book studies on Sundays. And so I'm there for that one, but I started making it a point to start hitting the 9 o'clock meetings. And it's just different. It's just a different crowd, but it's the same thing, but it's part of my recovery. I can't go off of 8, 10, 12, however many hours we get roped into a day, thinking that's just going to do it for me, because I can be in the middle of a shit and be like, what sounds good right now? A meeting. I mean,
Yeah, it actually has the opposite effect. And I have a lot of friends working treatment, and they do the same thing. Oh, I quit going to meetings, man. No, that's not my meetings.
Yeah.
Like, that's their recovery,
Right.
and yeah.
I mean, do I get something out of it? Absolutely, but it's me personally for my recovery. No.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, I think it's also too the length of the sobriety and the quality of the sobriety. There's nothing to
Exactly.
listen to there. And so I don't want to look around the room and me be the old timer, because we're in trouble if that's the case. So that's just not a good combination. But
Yeah, there's just, to me, there's no substitute for a good old fashioned meeting.
Nope.
Whether I like it or not. I would tell you, I have seen, not just me, but I've seen so many people come in, and at first they don't want to be there, and then they start warming up to people, then they start sharing, and what it is it's like when you start watching a series that you don't like, but then you start getting into it, and then you don't want to miss an episode,
Right.
and then. But before long, you're longing for the old days, the glory days, And the truth is, in AA, or especially if you have a home group, those glory days never stop.
No.
They just keep going. I've seen so many people come in and gung ho, and I mean they're donating their time, they're showing up at every event, they're raffle tickets and all the whole 9 yards, everything. And then but they end up going away for a week for a vacation or something, and they get away, and then boom, it starts to, and and I just, but anywhere you go though, you just pick right up in the middle of that mini series. If that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You okay over there, Jim?
Yeah, that kind of sounded. My voice.
cut her mic again.
Jill had a singing thing this weekend, and we didn't realize that she used all her voice.
I tell you what, though, going back to that, talking about we get some, not as many straight alcoholics anymore.
Well, let's not go with orientation now.
Well, but we do get a few, and I've had some where you go in the next morning, they come in drunk, and they're sleeping it off in a detox room, and I open that door in the morning where they've been passed out sweating alcohol out all night, and that smell, if you don't stay sober with that smell,
Yeah.
and I just go, thank you, God. Like, and they're in their sleep. They don't even know I'm standing there, and I'm just like, whew, I don't miss that. I don't miss that smell,
Alcohol smells so much different when it has been through the bloodstream
Yes.
and is coming out of your lungs.
Yes.
That aspirated or whatever just it's done. It's just, it's served its purpose, and now it's, right there at the car window. No, I haven't been drinking. No.
Man, I mean,
Well, you've been in a flame eating contest.
yeah, I mean, it'll literally knock you over, to open the door and walk in there. But it's like, man, thank you, God.
My
I don't
sense
have
of smell
to deal with that.
I mean, just since I stopped drinking.
Oh, man! I'm gonna tell you. I remember when I was sober probably for a year, maybe two, and someone dropped a bottle of wine in the store, and that 220,000 square foot store at the time I was in, and it was all the way across the store, and I could tell somebody dropped a bottle of wine. I could smell it all. Oh, you smell it like.
The wine's potent.
Matter of fact, nowadays, my current employer, one of the policies is like, if you were going to send someone to take a drug test for reasonable suspicion, you have to be able to see visually they're impaired, and you have to be able to smell it.
Right.
And a lot of times I will get a second opinion, because if you go by mine, that could just be something, I just smell alcohol so quick.
Yeah, olfactory hallucination.
Yeah, I guess, whatever that's.
Jill always put some big words on there.
Yeah, she said hallucination. You know,
I would Google that, but I can't spell it. So.
I mean, like,
when you
you
smell.
you been drinking? No, I've been licking frogs and eating mushrooms. Like, reading The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, man. But I can smell it. Like, I have to get a second opinion because I sure as heck don't want to accuse someone of being intoxicated when all they've done is, you know,
Put on too much cologne.
or no, or just had a regular, you know, couple beers, you know, whatever, you know, just. I don't know. I guess if they still smell like alcohol at 8 o'clock in the morning, there's something going on.
Probably have
Right?
Yeah.
a couple eye openers with their coffee.
Yeah, but I have customers, you know, that I can still smell it.
Right.
You know, it's but when it's coming out the skin and coming out the, you know, especially the lungs, man, it has that certain smell, kind of like Matt. You walk into that smell in that room, and whew, you know, man.
Yeah, it's tough, and you get them in there too, and you don't have many anymore. You know I've heard some of the old time straight alcoholic guys. They're like, "There's not any real alcohol," you know, all
Matt,
that stuff.
When Matt says
But-
straight alcoholic, he means guys that only
Alcohol only.
do alcohol.
Yes, yes. Let's clear that up.
Well, we didn't want to get anyone
Y'all were
excited.
talking about my companion a while ago, so I
But
need
you
to
the
feel I
one
need to
that
clear all
said-
that up.
Y'all were on. Somebody almost fell off.
We
the
were
bed.
we were laughing. We were in there goofing off, but
We still
yeah.
only have 123 followers. Why can't we get 124 followers? What is going on, man?
I don't know.
Chris, congratulations on 2 years.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's pretty good.
You could see
Pretty
it,
awesome.
You could see it in your family. You didn't even have to see it in you. You could see it in your family, and I think that's pretty amazing. As always, it's great to have you on the show. To all our listeners out here, this is not a bonus episode. We're going to add this straight to the regular list of episodes. We do have a bonus episode. That's going to be our next episode that comes out this coming Sunday, and that's going to be Travis M. telling his story. And we do get to hear Jill through the whole thing. I apologize for the technical issue or the technical thing on the last one, but we're not going to pull that off of our Spotify or Apple page. We're going to leave it on because it still serves its purpose, and there was a reason why that happened, and we may not ever know it. We don't have any new countries. Kenya was still the last country, and we're still getting, let's see, people listen to web browser 8.8. So people listen, 8.8 of the people listen to this on their web, on their computer. 34.5 do Apple Podcasts, 56 is Spotify, and 0.8 is other. So
Where's that?
CB. I don't know.
I don't know.
Smoke signals.
I'm not sure.
No, they have like Wondery and other, you know, that I'm sure it can bleed.
Napster.
Napster. Yeah,
MySpace.
People are illegally downloading our stuff to keep from having to pay us. What? I don't know. But we
Y'all getting paid for this?
I talked to my daughter yesterday, or I talked to her every day, but I talked to her yesterday about the website, and it's coming along. It won't be much longer, and she'll have our website done. Let's see. I wanted to see some stuff on the actual audience and what we got on our audit. 61 people in the last 7 days has listened to this podcast. 4,749 listens total. We have 123 followers, and that trust, forgiveness, and overthinking had 31 listens so far. But actually we did that, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah.
This past Saturday?
This past.
Yeah. Yeah, we did it this past week whenever Roger and whoever was, fishing. So Roger and Matt.
Debbie. Yeah, and
Debbie.
Matt. Yeah.
And yeah,
Straight.
they all went fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll leave it at fishing. Fishing and weather watching,
No
apparently.
comment. I wasn't watching the weather.
Tornadoes.
I slept through the whole thing.
Yeah, and our prayers are with anyone
Yeah, that was rough, man. That was
involved
crazy.
in that. We had some bad weather in Dallas, and they had bad weather in Northwest Arkansas, up where my company's based, and then Roger was up there in Mountain Home. They had bad weather, so our thoughts go out to that. Area code 817-988. Hang on, let me tell y'all. I want to tell y'all a correct number. My number is going to be area code 817-988-2530 is the voicemail line for the show. And you can leave an email at gnbbozier@gmail.com. That's gnbbozier@gmail.com. We do appreciate everyone out there who listens to our show. And until next week, we are the Grouch and the Brainstorm, and we've been at Rule 62 Studios right here in beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana.